Disclaimer, we'd like to note before the start of this interview that the opinions about to be expressed by the guest on tonight's Gettin Salty Experience podcast are that of the guest and do not directly or necessarily reflect the views of the host of the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Put the fucking fire out!
You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Hello! Oh, hello is right. And we, somebody came to the booth and did that the other day. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, hello! I'm like, wow, check this out.
Wow.
We're back, Ruffy and I, from Harrisburg. Met a lot of cool people. Gonzo's back, but he's leaving again. He's like the man about town. He's the cruise king.
Yeah,
He's the cruise king of Chicago.
I told you I'm starting that work-life balance a little early because I don't retire for a little while. So.
He's the Abe Froman of cruises.
Yeah.
Sausage king of Chicago.
Right?
We're back. Abe Froman, sausage king of Chicago. Sausage king of Chicago. Yeah, 5 times fast, whatever. Yeah. Yep. Welcome back to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast. You know what it is. It's not Delaney's. It's ours. It's the only one that brings the Firehouse kitchen table right to you. Wherever you are. I don't know if you're in the Firehouse, if you're home, if you're driving, whatever you're doing. Yeah. We're bringing it to you. Right, Roof?
Live.
How was your golf outing? You met a lot of firemen? You corralled a lot of guests for the show? A lot of old timers down there?
His liver's like, why?
I'm pickled.
He's pickled. He's embalmed. He's actually dead. He's embalmed. He's just sitting.
I met so many guys. Oh, my
God. A lot of guys know the show?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people recognize me, said that they enjoy the show. I got a couple guys.
You did? A couple old timers?
I did.
17. I met a girl today. The girl who was cracking me up and bending my shit. Her husband's in 38 truck.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a follower of the show. I said,
88, 38.
That's the Spitshine Firehouse, right? That Firehouse?
It is.
You know that. I go, I know it all, bro. Come on. They do a show about it.
Shit, man, that's good. I had my first recognition the other day, too.
You did? Where were you?
I was in my hospital. Some guy comes up like, hey, I recognize you. I'm like, I didn't recognize him. I felt bad, but he listens all the time. He doesn't do the live shows, but I give him a little shout out. I'm like, look at that. I appreciate that, man.
You get his
You're
name?
The first one. I'll get his name. It was just weird.
You didn't write that down?
No, I didn't. I felt bad.
At least you weren't urinating at Yankee Stadium. Some guy's looking over at you. It could be that.
Junk.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. He's speaking.
So Jerry Murph.
Oh, how's Murph doing?
He's doing great.
Oh, Jerry.
He's doing great. I saw W. I saw
Peg leg.
I saw a lot of guys. Yeah, a lot of laughs, man. I saw Pickford. I saw Bobby Reinhardt, Smithwick. A lot of guys.
Cast of characters. A lot of
my God. No laughs.
None.
Not all laughs.
You're down in what? North Carolina?
That was Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We played
Myrtle
3 days.
Beach,
yeah,
and a whole bunch, a sausage fest down in Myrtle Beach.
It wasn't too. I tell you, it wasn't too bad. They had everything spread out. There was 3 different golf courses, and then you came back to. It looks like a firehouse, but it's a bar.
Right,
but it's big. Cool. They had the guys cooking in the back, like the barbecue. It wasn't too overcrowded. It wasn't like we're used to. Like it was just
like jam-packed sausage.
Yeah,
fest.
it was good. It was a lot of fun. Right. Yeah,
good. Good for you. Good. More for me.
Good. More for me and you. Good.
Yeah. I like get on commercials play too. Dude, going through the pictures, I was a little bit scared. I don't think we've ever had a guest that has that many scary fire pictures. There's a lot of them in there, bro.
Ooh. He's not a rear, is he?
No, he's not. Yeah.
Not one of those. Nope.
He's not a Mr. George.
Mr. George.
Mr.
How much you pay for the new guy? No, too much.
Too much money.
All right, let's go. Let's get those commercials rolling. Let's get my little buddy in there.
Too much money.
Vince took us out to dinner one night. We had a very nice night with him. Had a good time. He was 2 booths down from us. Vince from Armor Tech.
All right. Or Armor Tough. It's okay.
Tough Tech, whatever. I'm only selling the floors. Don't worry about
it. Yeah.
I'm only the top rep in the Northeast.
Yes.
Armor Tech, tough, whatever.
Tech, tough. Titty tight tits, whatever.
All right. Well, let's hear from Armor Tick Tough, whatever.
Need a new floor for your fire station? Choose an Armor Tough interlocking flooring system to cover your aging, stained, cracked concrete, or epoxy floor. Around for nearly 20 years and proven to be the best choice in renovating your station floors, covering nearly 600 floors across the country, ArmorTough is proudly made in America and comes with a lifetime warranty with floors that are usually installed in 1 or 2 days, depending on the size of your station, and no disruption in the process to your station's operations. Our system is guaranteed from chipping, cracking, peeling, breaking, or staining. The tiles are stain resistant and impervious to chemicals or volatiles that are used in the fire service. If you damage one tile, you can lift and replace without anyone knowing. And once it's installed, your floor would be easy to clean with just soap and water. It's not only for apparatus rooms. You can install an ArmorTough floor in virtually any room and choose from the hundreds of colors from the Designer Series or, if you like, from the Utility Series floor coverings. Are you in need of gear racks, an extractor, or gear dryers? Install an ArmorTough floor in your apparatus bay and take full advantage of a deep discount, saving you thousands of dollars on any of the Grove products line. Why install a breakable epoxy floor that'll need replacing in 5 to 10 years when you could have a floor that will last a lifetime? The ArmorTough flooring system is half the price of epoxy and will last a lifetime without issue, more importantly. Join the hundreds of career and volunteer departments nationwide who have chosen an ArmorTough interlocking tile floor. Call Vince today for a no-obligation quote at 908-917-7697.
Forget about Vince. You want an Armortech Tough floor? Do a podcast. Reach out to me. I am the new rep of Armortech Tough. Did he say it's lifetime? I was picking his brain a little bit. Lifetime guarantee. So you put that floor down in your gym, the TV room, the kitchen, the apparatus floor. He gives you the free logo. CoopsPodcast@gmail.com. Reach out to me. We'll shoot the shit over Armortech Tough. Do it.
Do it. All right, here we go.
Established in 1930 and under the current ownership since 1987, the New Jersey Fire Equipment Company handles a complete line of fire department equipment and supplies. Headquartered in Greenbrook, the company operates full 3M Scott service facilities in Ridgefield Park and Toms River, staffed by 10 fully authorized Scott certified technicians with a fleet of 6 fully equipped service vans. All New Jersey fire technicians and sales representatives are active or retired firefighters, officers or chief officers, career and volunteer. They understand the business and the importance of their work. New Jersey Fire has represented Scott since Earl Scott entered the SCBA business at the end of World War II. Among other leading manufacturers represented by New Jersey Fire are Globe and Firedex Turnout Gear, Mercedes Hose, Task Force Tips and Akron Brass, Hygenol, Firehooks, Arctic Compressors, MSA Carnes Helmets, ChemGuard Foam, Alkalite and Duo Safety Ladders, BA Face Shield Protectors, Truckman's Choice Saws, Grove's Gear Racks and Washer Dryers, Supervac Fans, RPI, Streamlight, and many others. A New Jersey incorporated and based company, sales and service are limited to the state of New Jersey. Find us now at www.njfe.com. That's www.njfe.com.
Yeah, man. Jimmy the Guinea, he's expanding into new states, right, Cons? We don't know where yet, but he's coming to a state near you. So
he's definitely trying to get down here to South Florida.
Yep, we will let you know when he's relocated to other areas. And it won't be New Jersey Fire. It'll be New Jersey / pop, 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 pop. You can call Jimmy the Guinea for all your products. All right, Roof.
Wait, before you do that, Vin, I want to know when you were talking to Vinny, how long did you say? Show me the money.
That's right off. That's right off the bat, bro. Like if I'm gonna come work for Armortech Tough Tic Tac, I need you to show me the money.
I think that original number he gave, he's going to be cut in half after you called his company the wrong name.
That brings all the girls to the yard, bro. You kidding me? Come on. CoopsPodcast@gmail.com. If you want Coobs to come out and give you a quote on your flow, do it. Let's bring him in, Ruff.
All right, here we go.
Seen a lot of fire, been in some busy companies.
I don't think it with his history. Nah, he didn't say anything.
Nah. Ready, guns?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Coming to the stage, FDNY Battalion Chief Danny Sheridan.
Woo!
There he is. The man, the myth, the legend.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to the show,
one more time coming.
Yeah. Yes. But before we dive into your history, we got to dive into patriotism, right, Gons?
Yes, sir. Yes, we do. And here we go. Stand by.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Beautiful. We're not going to have a word of the day, but Coobs' knee is humming. So anytime you feel like saying, Coobs, take a sip, bro, there's only one fix for a humming knee, and that's Tito's. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
All right, Chief. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
We've crossed paths in the past, me, you, and Ruffy, back in the day. But we want to get into the early days. We want to go back to the early days of Chief Sheridan, where you came from, a little bit of family life. What brought you to the fire service?
Yeah, I grew up in Woodside in Queens. Right.
What?
Right by 288. Right by 288. But down in St. Teresa's, down by I don't know, by the White Castle there, 43rd Street.
Yeah.
We never were there in White Castle.
No,
never went there.
I don't even know what it is.
After the movies, what was the movie theater there, Coop?
The center was right across the street.
Yeah.
You know? So I grew up in Woodside, and we had a little breakup in the family when I was 3, and my mom got remarried when I was about 9, and he was a fireman.
Oh, look at that.
And he worked in Queens, but I just remember talking about interchanging into Brooklyn all the time. This is like the early 70s, like 71, 2, 3. So I guess they were like the second section of 108. And my mom also had some relatives that were one was in Harlem, my cousin Jimmy, and Peter. So I kind of was growing up around it. I never really thought I was going to set out to be a firefighter, but I'll tell you an interesting story about fire, though. And this might have been the push for how the family broke up, unfortunately. But when I was 3, I remember it actually, 1964. We lived in the apartment house called the Mets, and we had a fire in our apartment. And the funny thing about that, not funny, but my grandmother, being the superstitious Irish, whatever, it was Halloween night, and my mom and my dad were going to a party inside the building. Like there was 4 buildings, you know. And my mom had contracted with my best friend Dave, sister, to babysit. And my mother and my grandmother got into a big argument about my grandmother insisting about us being with her that night. So when it was all said and done, Grandma won. We're in the 3rd floor. And that night we had a fire. Well, front to rear.
Wow.
Top floor fire. And my dad was hanging out the window and had to be rescued from the aerial. But, you know, we were supposed to be in that apartment. Like so that was like, and the funny thing about that is that I remember when I got on the job and the first fire I went to, I remembered the smell. Because I remember as a kid, I was like 3 years old. I remember going up to the apartment and the thing was burnt out. And I remember that smell and it never left me. And I remember the first time I went to a job, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Brings you back.
Yeah. So,
sure.
So growing up in the city, I mean, where I lived, there was no fire.
So grandmas always know.
Grandma, I tell you, she had some kind of 6 months, you know. But anyway,
I want to hear about your old man hanging out the window. Like, what happened with that? Like, what was he doing?
He was only 21 at the time, 22.
Holy
and
shit!
He was a roofer. He was very agile, and I think he was literally hanging out
the window. Oh my god!
Blowing out the window, and he's hanging. And I spoke to this guy. He lives in North Carolina, and we're talking about it. And he was telling me, like, he was only about 10 at the time. He says, "Yeah, I remember that fire. I remember your father hanging out the window." So
that's crazy, man.
But that was like my first, and I had a little fire truck. I remember a little fire truck got burnt up, and I still have my stuff down from when I was a kid. It still has smoke stains on it, like I look in the closet. It's still pretty cool. Black. So you know, that's why I remember, like, over the years going to people's apartments and fires, and I always took it very, like, this is their own, like, 9/11. Not that it was 9/11, but this is their own tragedy. You know what I mean? This is
their whole life is up in smoke.
The whole world, you know?
or water damage or whatever it is.
Water damage, smoke damage, fire damage. So I always kind of took it more personal than maybe most guys would, you know. So anyway, I started becoming interested in it. Maybe I went to college. I went to St. Francis College. I was in school with a lot of guys from the job: Timmy Stackpole, Jimmy Leonard, Brian Boyle, Whitey. I mean, there was a bunch of guys that were in St. Francis at the time, and I just became more and more attracted to the job, you know. And they gave a test in '77, and I was too young, so the next test wasn't until '82, and then I started training for that test, and I took the written, and I got a 99. I still remember the question I got wrong.
Oh shit!
The question I got wrong. Who's the wrong guy standing on the back of the truck up? And then I took the physical at the armory. Remember, it was 100 degrees. It was the middle of August or September. And I was so pumped up. I was going up the ladder. You're supposed to throw the ladder up. You climb up. And I missed 2 of the steps because I took them 2 at a time. I come down, and the guy taps me on the shoulder. He says, "You missed the steps." So I had to go back.
Holy shit.
So then I didn't get 100. I got a 95. So it delayed me 2 years. So I got on the job in '86.
So that would be a...
You dick!
That's right. That's me.
That's what you wanted to say.
Hey, right? You got on anyway.
Yeah.
It's tough to get on if you get a 95 too, right? I mean, maybe not back then.
I was 1,500. I think it was like 1,300 on the list. The funny thing is, though, had I gone on in '84, I never would have met my wife. I met her in '86 because I was supposed to go in March of '86, and then that got delayed because of politics. And then I went in August, and then I met my wife on the day I was supposed to be in probie school, and we've been together 40 years or whatever.
Hey, things happen for a reason, man.
So, yeah.
Right? You went to grandma's that night, saved you, and you missed the steps. So things happen for a reason.
Yeah. So
holy shit.
Anyway. So I'm looking at my power cord, and I'm down to half power, and I'm texting her like, "Please bring the power cord up." What is she doing down there? Like,
well, I never know what she's doing down there.
I never know what she's doing. Ma, the meatloaf.
Oh, come on!
Don't play it.
Oh, come on!
I still got 50%. I'll be all right.
She'll get up here sooner or later. So what were you doing? Just in college, or were you working too?
So I went to St. Francis, and I was working in Merrill Lynch, and I have to tell you, I love that job. I mean, it was a great job, and all I did was go to school and work, and but I think in hindsight, I was a little too open about my desires about being a fireman because what do I have to say, firefighter?
Say whatever you want.
And they all knew I wanted to get on the job, and they offered me a job in the trading floor too, and I was just like, nope, I'm going on the fire department, you know, and so. But I don't regret it. You know, this was a life beyond. You all know. I mean, we all been there. This is like the greatest job that you could even possibly imagine. You know, I recruited like half the guys in my neighborhood to come on a fire department.
So have I.
I was like the recruiter for Woodside.
I tell people all the time. I got the guy who rented one of my apartments. I got him the job too, for God's sakes.
Look at that. It's the best job in the world.
We used to go down to Pudgy Walsh, who's down in Nazareth. Every like Bob Checo, he'd pick it. I'd be on the corner doing pull-ups on the light bar, and he'd come with all the guys from Astoria. I jump in the car, and we go to Nazareth, and then we go to Pudgy's for the night, and then come back, and that's all I did. I worked out for like a year and a half, like I was training for like a boxer.
But the only thing he didn't do is teach you to hit every rung on the ladder.
That's it.
Pudgy never told us that you got to hit every rung on that ladder.
I want my money back. You get called in August of '86. You had a pretty star-studded probie class there, right?
Yeah. It was
some names in the probie class that you had.
Well, some have passed, and God rest their souls. I mean, Brian Fahey.
Kind of hard to make out, but yeah, you can take a look.
Yeah, Brian Fahey, Chris O'Sullivan's up front. He died in 9/11. John Ginley, Frank Simpson, in charge of Marine Division these days. Bobby Bohack, John Buckite.
Buckite. Wow.
John Buckite, forcible entry through the lock.
John Buckite, my man. I'll get some stories about John Buckite. I can still remember like most guys in my probie class. It's crazy. I can't see right now, but I can remember them. You know, I wish I could see them, but I do remember them.
Really quick, hold on. Somebody says, Mike Thomas, hey Chief, great job with the FDIC keynote address in 2023. An outstanding tribute to Bobby Holton. Best to you in your time.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, so you're in your probie class.
Yup.
And who do you know? What call do you make?
Who's
call the Emerald Society?
Okay.
You call the Emerald Society. You go, Jesus, where the fuck do you want to go now, Danny? Oh, I love you. No, that's great, Danny.
It was Bob Checo. And, you know, it's very, I have to tell you, it's intimidating. You know, like, you know, walking into the doors in 17 truck, I got there with Frank Simpson and Matt Hansen. And,
wait, but how did you get there? Did you want to go to 17 or somebody said this?
I had a list I had to give them, and you know, it was like all the 6th division, you know.
Right. So 17 was 4th on the list. Who was first?
I don't remember. I just wrote down what they told me. I had no idea. I just handed the guy, you know, I just said I want to go to you know why I wanted to go to the Bronx? Let's be honest here. You know why I went to the Bronx? Because when I was in high school, I read the report from Engine 82.
Yeah.
And I said, I read that book and I was like, man, I'm going to the South Bronx.
I read that book about 5 times already.
Oh, I love that book.
You know, we had him on the show, right?
Who? Dennis Smith. Yeah, we had him on the show.
I worked with some of those guys like Danny Guiney and
well, he changes the name in the book.
Yeah, but you know who they are. Like I know,
right? You know who they are, right?
And I worked with those guys. I remember getting detailed up to 82 engine and 31 truck and working there, and you know, it's like.
So you read the book, and now you live in that book, bro.
That's oh my God. I said, I got to go to the South Bronx. He's like, no, there's nowhere else to go but the South Bronx, you know.
So you go to 17. Who else went with you to 17?
So Frank Simpson, Chief of the Marine Division, and Matt Hansen. So Matt
all went to the truck?
We all went to the truck, yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's a heavy hitting class there, bro.
Let me tell you something. It's like I felt like a rookie coming up from the minor leagues going into like the 27 Yankees or like the 77 Yankees. It was intimidating beyond belief.
Sure.
It is, yeah, that's yes, the Green Berets, man. Love those guys. The salt of the earth. I love that Firehouse. God almighty.
We had on who do we have? John Raw. He was from 60, right?
John Raw, yeah. I can tell you John Raw.
Oh, we had a lot of guys from 17 on. Yeah. We had Johnson on. We had
Oh Daddy, yeah. Billy Lawson.
Billy
Lawson we had on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good house.
It was just, it's just intimidating. It was just intimidating being this kid from the city, just turned 25 years old, and you're walking into this iconic firehouse, and it's like you feel like there's like everyone is just watching you, and you gotta prove yourself, like
well, they are, and they are.
Yeah, it's like just.
So who was there when you got there? Who was some of the senior guys that were there?
Mike Weldon, Jack Ryan, Tom McDowell. It's funny about senior men, right? They were all through the war years, these guys. Patty Mack, Tommy Mahoney in the engine. You said Johnson, Jimmy Lafferty. And, there's this group of guys that were like in the middle. They were like from 10 to like 20, and they got on the 70s and they were just catching the war years.
That's how I thought you were talking about the 10 to 20. That's how crazy it is, Coobs, how the guys he's mentioning are all over 20.
Oh, right? And all the officers were old enough to be my father. I remember Maxwell was the captain, Joe Kelly, Billy Geis, and Dennis Callipy. And then the Chiefs were all old enough to be a grandfather. They were just
stayed. Yeah, they just stayed forever, right?
And the senior men, 30 years, 30 plus. Patty Mack was in World War II. Guys were in the Korean War.
Wow.
And
those are the guys. Those are the best guys, though. Every time we talk,
what's going to scare those guys, bro? What's going to intimidate those guys? Nothing.
They're going to grab you by the ear and say, "All right, kid, come on away. Get over
these guys." Some of these guys were in Vietnam, like Frank Trum, and all just like Ray Weldon, and it's just crazy, man. These guys are just hardcore.
Raw was a Vietnam guy, right? Raw, he was a Vietnam guy.
Raw's, Vietnam guy, absolutely. Electrician, yep. So, it's intimidating, very intimidating.
So how long are you there before you catch your first job?
All right, so the first job. Okay, so I remember the first job. I don't remember anything after that, but I remember the first job.
The rest is a blur.
And the funny thing about the first job, right? It was 149 between Morris, Cortland and Morris. It was on the north side of the block. And I remember pulling up. I remember who was working. Bobby Norman, rest his soul. And Frankie Keeles, the Vietnam vet, had the irons. And the captain, it was a covering guy. And Ryan was his, Mo Ryan or something. I can't remember his name. Great. I mean, I caught all this work with this guy. And I remember, like, I had the can, and I'm going up the stairs, my boots, I got the heavy boots and the coat, and everything's wobbling. And the people are pouring down, screaming. I'm like, it hit me at that moment. I'm like, what in God's name am I doing?
What did I get myself into?
What the, you know what? I was like, wait. I'm like, they weren't joking in probie school. Like, I thought that this was all like, yeah, you might do this once in your career, like maybe, this was the real deal. It was like,
if it's really bad, you don't go in. Don't worry about it. You're all right.
Yeah, no. That wasn't happening.
Exterior firefighter.
All I remember is I just hung on to the captain, and I was like, I thought I was in Yankee Stadium, man. I thought, like, my God, I'm like, Hail Mary, full of grace, please. What am I doing? And I just hung on to the captain's coat. I have no idea what I did. I don't know. The engine was already there. 41 engine was there. And
what type of building was it?
It was an H, and not an H. It was a 5-story tenement.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, it was one or two rooms. It was no big deal. But what the funny thing is, I came back 20 years later, same box, same apartment, same everything. And I'm a captain, and I'm like, I get to the door and I'm looking in, and I'm like, it was one room or whatever. I'm like, this was it,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
My brother said to me, I hope your first job is just like a 1 or 2 room. He always said that, like, you didn't get that job that was like
scare the hell out of you, yeah.
Scare the hell out of you, where it takes you a long time to adjust. So,
but it was crazy because it just hit the fan after that. I got to the house in September, I guess, sometime in September, and I had the can forever, and I work with guys like Billy Lawson. I mean, Lawson, like, I'm always working with Billy. Probably saved my life 4 or 5 times, and I mean, just amazing stuff. But I can't, like, one night I'll never. We had the first job was around change of tours. It was a tower ladder job, no big deal. It was on 149 over by Bergen or Willis, maybe Willis, somewhere over St. Anne's or something. Tenement, fully involved, So we're up in a bucket, and so someone went sick, and so now me and Frank Simpson, Frank actually he was at the store, so it was no big deal. It's just a vacant. So then we come back, and everything was ruined. I forgot to pull my boots up, So I remember this guy Billy Welsh. He had the same size as me, and he just bought a brand new pair of boots. So, like, in the back of my mind, it's like, oh, I'll wear Billy's boots, So we get another box, and it's on Alexander and 141. It's a brownstone, and fire's in the basement. And Tony Alva is just there for 6 hours. He's the captain. He was the captain of 19 truck. He was a lieutenant in 29. I mean, this guy, like, Callipy was in the engine. These guys were just like fire gods. I mean, they were just like, I just revered these guys, So me and Frank are on the inside. I don't know if I had the can of the irons, and then Alva and then Callipy went in before us. And I don't know what happened, but next thing you know, Alva's grabbing the two of us, and he says, "Get out." And I'm like, "What?" He says, he grabs us, "Get out," and he throws us down the hallway, and the fire blows over our head. And I'm like, what was that? And I don't want to get into the whole fire, but it flashed on us, And I just remember I was wearing Billy's boots, and I forgot to pull them up, and they were flashed. And I'm like, whoopsie. Now I got to explain to this guy, Billy, that I just trashed his brand new boots.
Chief, I was just going to ask, out of the 3 of you, who was the guy who took the pressure off of everybody? Now I kind of maybe know who it was.
Yeah, I look at that.
The guy who borrowed somebody's
Definitely look at him. It's just funny, I began to think this was normal, like all these near-death experiences, then we had another job, like on Christmas Eve, the 3 probies are working, and we got caught in a flashover again in a 2-story, private dwelling. Me and Frank, we had to bail out the window, and then the collapses. I mean, it seems like buildings were collapsing, all like not full collapses, but floors collapsing. I mean, it was just part. I just thought it was normal. After a while, I was like, okay, well, this is normal,
Well, maybe that's what gave you, down the road when you were you were a lieutenant or a captain, and you went to the same job, and you were like, man, this is nothing. So, I mean, those kind of experiences that make you.
Cool. I was in South Carolina a couple of days these last few days, and I ran into, like I told you, there was about 3 or 4 companies that had 20 guys each. 157, 255, and 60 and 17 had, I don't know how many guys they had there. And every guy that I talked to, they said, it just stuck out to me what the chief just said, and these are guys that are 70 years old. They kept saying the same thing over and over again. They're like, I worked with the best guys. Right. Like, I mean, the best officers. I mean, these guys knew fire. Like, these are 70-year guys. And this is probably the guys that the chief's talking about his guys. Right. I mean, that's how it just kept moving down the line, is that they just kept passing on all this knowledge to the guys, and the fire duty was there.
Yeah, consistent work all the time.
But it stuck out to me how he's like, bro, I work with the best guys that you could ever work with on the job. Like, that's what he kept saying.
Those guys were amazing. There was a guy, Billy Stells, and like they actually, they almost like rewrote the books. I mean, because they were doing it so much. Like, like guy like Billy told me, he says, yeah, we replaced the axe with the Halligan for the OV, or like they were just kind of fine tuning it as they were going. You know what I mean? They were so good at what they were doing.
Forward thinking out of the box, man. Like,
what do you think that, Chief? Do you think, like, what was it like in 75 over there? Like, it had to be absolutely insanity. If you think it was insanity, what did those guys think that was at that point?
They used to kid me because they knew that I was a little into the job, let's say, for lack of a better word.
Buffy.
So, they would wind me up. They'd be like, you missed it, kid. You should have been here 10 years ago. And I'm like, fuck. I know.
And meanwhile, he's going to job after job.
Where did you get the name Sparky from?
So, Proby School. And
I thought Lawson said he gave you that name.
He did too. Well, yeah, he perpetuated it.
All right.
So what happened was 13 truck was relocated up to us, and because they were a towel ladder. And Tommy Madden was in my Proby class. And so anyway, he sees me and he goes, Sparky! And everybody in 17 truck was standing there, and everyone just went like this. Like, I was like,
well, why did they call you Sparky? What does Sparky mean?
What do you think?
He's a pyro. He likes to light fires.
You're a buff?
I don't know. You know what's funny? You talk about being a pyro. One day I'm at the house watch, right? And it was a guy. He had a nickname. I don't know if I should say his name. He's dead now. God rest his soul. He used to drive the Red Cross third alarm coffee truck or whatever. Popped up in the 18th Battalion, I guess. And he had a nickname. And I didn't believe it. I'm like, anyway, but it was unusual. It was weird that he was always at these fires, though, And so one day I'm on the watch. It's like 2 a.m, and I got the doors open. I'm just hanging out, and he comes by and he's like, "Hey, kid," he says, "You're gonna be going to work." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, you're gonna be going to work," and whatever, right? No sooner he said that, dude.
Phones went off.
Yeah, that was it.
We're available. Take it in.
Sorry, there you go. I had to get that one for
you. I always get a little flutter with that. I don't
know. I know, right? It's like Pavlov,
Yeah,
so,
it's like something.
Anyway,
it is like Pavlov.
And sure enough, we pull up and it's top to bottom, man. Just
really
going merrily, I don't know if he did it, but it was.
Billy Lawson told me a different story, bro. I'm gonna play you what he showed me. You ready?
Yeah, Sparky the clown.
It didn't happen like that. No. Lawson swears that's how it happened, bro.
Karma.
That's classic. Karma.
Oh my god.
My face is every time I hear it, like I can't stop.
Kills me. Yeah. All right, let's show some pictures from 17, bro. Let's go. Let's talk about some fires.
All right, so we have one. He mentioned his first job, but I know he.
But that was a bucket job. You know what's funny about this job? I have to tell you a story about this job. So we're at this fire. It's on 150th in Wales, right? And I guess it must have been the same year that the Giants played the 49ers in the Super Bowl, right? So anyway, I guess 29 Truck had a bet with 29 Truck in San Francisco. So anyway, the shirts never showed up. So we're walking around like everybody in the block is wearing San Francisco Fire Department 29 Truck shirts. So they stole the shirts and they were all wearing them in the neighborhood.
Those rat bastards.
At least they weren't gold bars.
Right?
Holy shit.
You gotta remember 29 was a towel ladder back then, you know.
That's awesome.
Ooh,
Good job in Harlem. I don't know who took it, but someone actually commented. They saw me in the bucket and they're like, he's not wearing an air pack. If you wore an air pack in that bucket in 17 Truck, your locker would be out in the street and somewhere else. It was a policy. I mean, I hate to admit that, but that's how it was, you know. But we were just pulling.
There you go.
There was all these steel shutters. I was in the bucket with Dr. Doom, Eddie Cruz, and we were taking the steel shutters off. It wasn't a towel ladder job, believe it or not. We were just actually venting the whole top floor, with the bucket.
All right, sorry. Here we go. This is a good one.
So that was actually, I was in 41 for this one. It was an ERS box, I think, and we came in. We put out 3 floors of fire. We got a unit citation. Chris Levy had the nozzle for. Everyone had the nozzle. Buckeye wound up putting out the last 2 rooms, and it wasn't a towel ladder job. It was an occupied building. Teasel was the captain, and I remember he said to me, I guess that I was like the last guy in the line. He tells me, he goes, go out and get me water, because we were having water problems or whatever. Everyone was having water problems. So, so I got out to Al Gonzalez. I said, Al, we need water.
Nice. We got another 17.
That's Big Tom. That's Tom. Well, Tom, I worked with Tom. He always had the OV. I always had the can. And every time we worked, he made me drive the bucket. And he'd tell me, get that as close as you can to the window. And he would just, I mean, then it's like, I'm surprised we almost didn't go into the room. I mean, that's how close we used to get to the, and he was just a phenomenal fireman, Tom. God rest his soul.
For sure.
That was Rogers and Dawson, me and Gilligan in the bucket. I remember that job. I don't know why. I don't know why I remember that job. I guess because in the 3rd Battalion, I was, right near my firehouse.
It looks like hell's burning.
Damn.
We melted the rig a few times. I remember one time down in the market, we had, I don't know, it was like a paper factory. It was like 1,000 by 100, and we had
1,000 by 100.
It was under the Tyrell Bridge. Yeah, it was
right.
The longest building you could imagine, And we're underneath the bucket. We're under the bridge.
Holy Christ!
And I'm in the bucket with I forget who I was in the bucket with, but Joe Kelly, the officer, never won the bucket, and then these pigeons came out, and all their tail feathers were on fire. And Kelly says, "Oh look, flaming pigeons." So they were worried about the bridge buckling because there was so much fire. And then, so they had this stretch of line, 60. I forget who stretched line, and they had to hose down the rig while we were in the bucket trying to protect the bridge.
Nice. All right, I think this is the last 17 truck picture we have. So this was interesting.
The saw was
opening the roof.
The saw was out of service, so I had my axe. I just opened the roof with the axe.
Dude, I think he's got more pictures of him working. Like you always say to me, you're so assy. You're always so lucky. People take a picture.
I mean, who's taking a picture of a guy with an axe? Like,
I don't know. But this guy's got more pictures than me.
So there you go. Actually, I got an oldie here. Sorry, go back up a little bit. We got a little oldie one here. Just want to throw this.
Just a random. That was like normal. I mean,
that was normal. 10 floors of fire. Yeah, whatever.
But it was no big deal. The funny thing is, like, really, the Chiefs were just amazing. Like guys like Visconti and Kilker, and then the battalions in the 16th, Kennedy, and these guys. They were just like Hoover. I remember one time we had a job. Timmy Klett. We were talking about this the other day. Timmy was working.
I saw him down there.
And Timmy was in 69. I was in 41. There was about a 5-line stretch, and Hoover was the chief, and he's just like, okay, guys, how you doing? All right, making good progress. I got burnt. Timmy got burnt. I mean, it was just normal. Like, no one thought anything different about it. It was on 143rd. He corrected me. It was on 143rd in Convent, I think. It was right down the block from 69's quarters. They had 3 companies got unit citations at that fire.
Wow.
Crazy.
Nice.
Coobs, I saw yesterday. Was it not yesterday? Like last week.
Who, the bro of H2O?
Well, I saw him down there with his wife. Yeah, he's great. But I saw a picture on Facebook, and it's in I don't know, let's say 78. I don't remember, but it was in the 70s, I think. And then they have a picture of it today in that same spot. And you're there in like, let's say 78, 80, and all you see in the back, it's like rubble. For block after, it looks like a mile, 2 miles, right. Rubble. And then you see like
the end of the earth,
an H standing there, but vacant, right?
Yeah.
And then they take the picture today, and all you see is like little, like one-story houses, like little houses, like you can't even believe what that looked like then. Those people have no idea what it looked like. You know what I mean? They're living in this house, mowing their postage stamp and everything, and they have no idea what was going on over there. It was war.
Yeah.
2 places I worked in 17. If you on 138th Street between Willis and Brook, if you looked up to 149, exactly what you said. And today it's all houses. And then on 116th up to 125th between Madison and Park, it was the same thing. Just
really
building. Just
burned out.
It was. Rubble,
if you go back and look at the old pictures, like you'll see burnt out houses and burnt out cars, and the kids, it's like a playground. They're playing in the burnt out cars, or they're jumping out the windows on the.
Dude, I remember when Seatown burnt by us. I remember. Yeah. I don't know if you were there, but I remember being in the Seatown, like the chief said about that smell. Mm-hmm. I remember smelling that in the Seatown, like we were walking around in there. The water was there,
Yeah. My father worked that job. Oh shit.
Get some ice. Tito's.
We're talking about the old timers said that on 143rd Street that the rigs would be lined up down the block. There would be 5 or 6 rigs just lined up waiting, and they would just, if you stood on the roof of the firehouse, all you saw was, if you looked south or if you looked east or north, all you saw was the smoke coming off the tops of the buildings. Like This was every day.
The busiest night that you can recall.
Sorry, the busiest night was actually when I was in 41. We had 7 jobs one night, and we went back to the same buildings twice.
Allegedly.
No rekindles in the fire service.
They weren't rekindled.
Yeah, restarted. I like that.
So you went from 86 to 91 and 17, and then you went to. Well, was it a squad then, or was it just 41?
It just had turned in May of '88. It closed as an engine company, and it was a big, it was a
pushback from the community.
Yeah, and then they compromised and they made it the enhanced engine. And I do remember the borough commander coming to our quarters one time. I forget the guy's name, and he sat us down. He says, "Listen, we're going to put a Rescue 6 in the South Bronx," and then it disappeared because then they closed 41. They opened the firehouse up on Melrose, and they were going to put 41 in with 55. But then 71 came. They closed the firehouse up on Park and 159. They opened up on 156 in Melrose, and they were going to close 41. It all hit the fan. Then they decided on this enhanced engine. So I was the second wave. There was a first wave, hand-picked guys. They all went.
Right.
And then there was another wave. And I was in that group with guys like Joe Gandiello, John Citarella, Pete McLaughlin, John Buckeye.
Wow.
Some of the original.
Was Paulie Soman there then?
Sorry? Soman came a few months later. He came from 45 and 58. Some of the guys were trickling in, Sean Genovese, Kevin Murphy. Guys started trickling in. And then it was like the hardcore original guys like Bobby Hamilton. God,
I loved him. He was my neighbor. He was my brother's best friend.
God bless him. He was the salt. I love Bobby to death.
Funny guy too, right? Funny guy.
Yeah. Big barrel chest.
Yeah.
He didn't grow since 4th grade. Like he was the same size.
When did you start thinking about going to 41? When they became a
it kind of I think a lot of guys were interested in going, but it was already done. The deal was done, so none of us really knew about it. And then I remember speaking to the captain. It was a night that Billy Lawson saved my life. We had a job on Cortland and 146, and that was the night that Trainer went down, and we got him out. And Billy grabs me. He says, "Sparky, this don't feel right." He grabs me, and like the whole thing just collapsed. And
wow.
But I talked to the captain, was in Keenan at the time, and I said, I'm kind of interested in 41. And he says, yeah, it was November of not 90, because it was right before my daughter was born. So yeah, and then I wound up going there on a detail in 91 in like August. It was supposed to be like a 6-week detail, and I wound up staying there.
So what was the deal with them? What was at that time, were they going to? They had first 2 boxes, and then they were going to what?
First, second, and third 2 boxes.
Mm-hmm.
BI, the whole thing, and then anything like all hands in the 12th, the 16th, the 17th, the 3rd, the 2-6, up to like the Cross Bronx. We were a squad. So
they were going through a ton of work.
Yeah, I was busy.
Yeah, was Kleehouse there?
He had just left, Jack.
He just left.
Yeah, Tizo was the captain. Mm-hmm. Steve Garrity, John Carroll, Dennis Moranchek. Yeah. So that's Donnie Regan. He went to Rescue 3. Paulie Soman, Salty.
Mm-hmm.
And, Ralph Tizo and myself.
So you guys just had an engine. Did you have anything else on? You had truck tools, I guess. That's it.
We had everything. We destroyed that rig. Tizo, somehow he square rooted that rig because we got it from 89 engine. We swapped with them, and I don't know. He wanted that engine for some reason, and we had it loaded up with boxes everywhere. We had boxes on the roof or whatever, and yeah.
I would say it looks like it has some good storage space. Would be my initial thought on why he liked it. Plus, it's a Mac, man. You can't go wrong with those things.
Yeah. Well, Tommy Haskell used to drive. Tommy used to drive that like a race car.
Yeah,
He's scared.
I was going to say those rigs were fast, man.
Yeah,
Tommy. We used to call him the pilot, man. He used to drive that thing like it was a captain one time. Gene Down.
Over like he stole it.
He got out of the rig one time. He says, "I've been a captain a long time." He says, "That's the hairiest ride I ever had in my life."
Roofy's like,
exactly.
Well, I always say this: it's scary, but in control, and then there's scary and out of control.
You know who drove like that one time in 288? I'm with Fahey. We're on the Grand Central going out to Corona, and I was just like, Brian, scaring me, Brian.
Out of control is one thing. Driving fast and in control is a good thing. Yeah. No, he was good show. He was actually a good show.
Brian. I love that guy. We had a party at my house one time, and oh my God, he's just crazy. Love the guy at that.
Quickie, on the other hand, might have been God rest his soul.
My God, dude.
He was getting there. We lost, Hose was fucking laying in the
Halligan's with the We ran into the back of Rescue 4's rig one time. Right into the back with boom.
I told the story to I forget who the hell I was telling. He was a boss at 292. I said, "Were you at the job where Quickie made the left turn?" I was on the rig where I saw the fire coming out the back of the window, and all we had to do was make a right and a right. We were going to be that first due, and Quickie made a left. And we're like, "You're going the wrong way." We get off the rig, we're backing up. 292 makes a left and a right, and all I hear on the radio is 292, 1075. I was somebody shit right on my birthday cake.
We were going to Sunnyside, right by you, and there's Rescue 4's rig and Quick's driving, and he's fucking flying. And all of a sudden, I see the 4 on the back of Rescue 4's rig. It's like this small, and then it's getting closer and closer. Holy shit! Boom! Back of Rescue 4's rig.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
That actually didn't happen. You had a dream about that.
No, I actually.
This is all allegedly, fellas.
So you go and study. You're at 41 for a while, huh? You must get you a hell of a lot of work there, man.
In that company, 20 single company, 9 guys got promoted off that list.
Wow. But you guys did a lot of first due work there too, and
squad work.
No,
we didn't do a lot of first due work.
I have such a small area there, right?
We had too much. We had a postage stamp. Yeah,
it's a small area.
That was a squad job. That was on Watson and Ward, and there was a ton of fire. It was a taxpayer flat fixed place, whatever. We were in exposure, and we actually worked as an engine at this job, and we actually kept the fire out of the building.
Hey, Ruff, I'm beginning to think that I know where he got the name Sparky from, because every picture I put, oh, yeah, that's Watson. And yeah, we had the line over there. And I think it was about 1,700 hours on a sunny day in May. And
who remembers everything?
It was 5 a.m, but who's counting?
I tell you one thing, that area is still the armpit of the earth over there by 41. It's freaking bad still. A lot of drugs.
I covered their UFO in 96 engine for a year. I loved that firehouse. I mean, it was just.
I worked there a few times.
It was great guys, great officers.
The problem is they do a lot of EMS now.
A lot of EMS. You got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, know? I got it.
So you're there until what, 95? So you put 91 to 95. You're in 41, right?
Yeah, just 4 years. I got promoted. We all got promoted.
Who does something like that? Silly stuff like that. So you get promoted.
Yeah.
And you come back to SOC as a lieutenant.
Yeah, I swore Downey and I went to
you're
SOC.
Bouncing. You had those spots opened, or what was it?
They made the squads, and then I don't want to get into the whole story. I just was, you know what? I didn't want to repeat of, I was getting frustrated with things, and I just said, I just want to normalize my life. I had little kids now. I had, my daughters were being born, and so
it's a big commitment, man.
Yeah.
You have to.
SOC is a big commitment. Yeah.
You have to go to training all over the country. You got to constantly get trained on hazmat and high angle. And big commitment. People don't realize it, man.
Yeah. So I wound up going to 58 engine, and that. And let me tell you, as engine companies go, I've never seen much better than engine 58. Some of the guys there were just off the charts. They were just, there's a difference about, like, I was in a truck and then I was in a squad, but I didn't really know about the engine until I became a lieutenant. And there's a whole different vibe being in an engine. Like especially as a boss, you feel like there's like a thread there that you're connected. Like you do anything for these guys, like you do with your kids. Like you would go through fire for these guys. And they do the same for you. And I've seen these guys. I mean, I've seen the fires these guys put out, and I just like, wow. That's all I could say is just wow. Because the tenacity was unbelievable in that place.
I came on with Bobby Canali.
Bobby was, Bobby.
Yeah, he's still doing it. He's still teaching at the RA. I think he's doing engine.
Is he? How long has that guy got on the job now?
He got on in 93.
30?
Bobby's in that picture that I sent to 58. Bobby's in that one picture. That job we had 110.
32 years.
It's amazing. Yeah, Bobby. His dad, Sal Canali, worked.
Yeah, about this one.
Yeah, so this is a good story
right there, man. Wow.
Yeah. So here's a good story about this fire. So Greg is my chauffeur, Greg Parr. Scotty Paskowitz, Chris McLaughlin, and Chris Engeldrum. God rest his soul. He got killed in Afghanistan. So
he's kneeling, right? Engeldrum?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I begged him not to go back to Afghanistan. But anyway, we get a box for 116th and Lenox about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's always the same. ERS, no contact, right? So, typical what I like to do is I'm always listening to the radio. When as soon as I hear, Manhattan box 1, as soon as I hear the 1 to 3, I'm like, oh shit, that's our area, And then they're getting on the radio. All right, Manhattan Battalion 11, we're getting numerous calls. And I said, oh shit, we're going. That's a job, And anyways, we got to about 112th Street, and I looked at Greg. I said, Greg, turn the rig around. I got on the radio. Engine 58, Manhattan. I said, we're available for that box. It's, I take it as your first 2 boxes. What's the 100 Lennox in 116? 1092.
Yeah, hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
92. So anyway,
yeah. I'll find out later.
We turn around on Lennox. We're going south. We get to 110th Street. The park is there. Make a right. And we get up to about 7th Avenue, and I look, and the fire escape is jam-packed, and so Greg stops. And Greg, what are you doing? He goes, where are we going? I said, Greg, the building with all the people on the fire escape.
Over there, the one that's on fire.
No, the fire wasn't showing, but so I guess from his spot, he couldn't see the fire escape, because the trees were in the way. So anyway, I grabbed the hydrant, I jump off the rig, and I get into the lobby, and there's a wall of fire. I mean, it was just like, I thought it was an outside fire that had come into the, into the lobby, So I was about to get on the radio, and I was like, all right, start at 2.5. And it's Chris McLaughlin with the 1 3/4 inch. Big Chris, he's about 6'5", about 250 pounds. It looked like a little garden hose in his hand.
Green light.
Water pit.
That's the guy I want to get behind.
Yeah, man. No, that's the guy you want behind you, bro.
They just crushed it. It turned out it was an apartment with the door left open. The fire had gone up both stairwells. Unfortunately, had some fatalities. And the guys did an amazing job. There was a kid from 26 truck. He was like less than a year on a job. He had the roof. I mean, they just did an amazing job. Cassano showed up, and he didn't really know me at the time. He just looked at me. He says, he was just dumbfounded. He said, wow. He's like, wow. I mean, that amount of fire that they put out with that 1 3/4 inch, and we pushed it back into the apartment, and that was it. And the funny thing is, right, the next day, so I don't know how it turned out. My daughter, Christine, so this is 2000. She was probably about 6, maybe. And so I'm thinking like, oh, let me show her what Daddy does. So anyway, so we stop off and say, Christine, I want to show you, this is what Daddy does for a living, And she still has nightmares till today. She still brings it up. Daddy, why did you bring me into that building? I still have nightmares over that.
That's a great house, man. That's like right in, what is it, 110th, 105th? What is that?
112th, 115th, right in the middle of the projects, 5th Avenue. We covered river to river. It was, just great guys, great firemen. I mean, just phenomenal guys.
Yeah. Well, you got any pictures from their guns?
I have to pull some up. That was the only one that we have from 58.
That was the only one from 58 engine. So.
Yeah.
So, but we have I have this one as well. I don't. That's
back in the
17. So that's what your 17 one.
So you see this lieutenant here, Frank O'Grady, right? He was from 42 truck. He was there during the war years. So that's Beekman and Oak, right? So we had a job. I guess it was a top floor fire as usual, whatever. And then so we're a tower ladder. 29's a tower ladder. So I got the roof, and now I'm trying to get to the roof, and it's like, it's like the slow boat to China, right? So I'm trying to get up to the roof, and now I could see the water's out the windows, and they got the fire knocked down, and I'm still trying to get to the roof, to do my job. So anyway, because it was like kind of an isolated building, like exposure 4 had an alley and 2 had an alley. So the only way was the bucket, right? So anyway, after the fire, we're talking about it, and Frank says, he goes, I used to live in this building when I was a kid. I said, oh, yeah. He goes, yeah, when we were kids, we used to jump the roofs, and I grew up in a city. I used to play on the roofs. I mean, that's what we did. We walked the parapets. I mean, climbed on the bulkheads. I mean, that's all we did. So anyway, sure enough, the next set of tours, we were back to the same building, same thing, top floor fire. So I'm like, So, when you had the roof, you didn't wear the rubber boots. You wear the black boots and the coat and just your helmet. So anyway, I said, I'll just jump it, So I go into exposure 4, and I'm in a building, and this woman, she's like, yo, Mr. Fireman, you're in the wrong building. I said, no, I know.
I know.
So I get
you want to see something really cool? Come here, watch this.
So I get to the roof, and it's like, I don't know, like a 6 foot, whatever. So I take my Halligan, I toss it, and I just jumped, and I just, I landed on the roof. I popped the bulkhead or whatever. And then afterwards, like fire's all knocked down, and we're in the street. And O'Grady looks at me, he goes, Danny, how'd you get to the roof? And I said, I did what you told me. He said, you did what? I did what you told me. I jumped the roof. He's like, what?
You did what?
What?
So you wind up studying again.
Yeah,
you guys are good. Just show that.
It looks like Jimmy. I think it looks like Jimmy McNamara. I can't tell. It looks like Jimmy. Jimmy's from my neighborhood. He's a Woodside guy. He's like the senior. I kind of recruited him for 26 truck.
Okay, guy's tall.
That guy's tall.
He's a great basketball player. Phenomenal basketball player.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to ask you. How did you get Rice over to 17? He said that you were responsible for getting him over to 17.
Yeah, I talked to somebody. I forget it. We got him over there.
Forget off the air. He'll talk.
Rhymes with Von Essen, I think you said. I don't know.
You could sneeze it if you want.
Yeah. So cool.
John he's the coolest cat. Like he's just like nothing bothers that
guy. He's like a surfer dude or something. Like, hey, dude, I see him all over I used to see him in the gym when we went.
We used to call him Chief when we were kids because he looked like the one flew over the cuckoo's nest. He looked like Chief. That's how he nicknamed Chief.
No, that's awesome.
That's great. All right, so you go with study now, and you get promoted to captain.
Yeah.
Ruffy, he winds up in another busy place. I don't know how this.
I don't know. He keeps landing on his feet. I don't know what's going on.
You know what I mean? He's very rocky. As my wife would say, very rocky.
Oh, you walk out.
Oh, you walk out. He's so rocky. So 2003 to 2008, you're captain of 46 engine.
Yeah, I was there. I was a year in 96, and then the captain came back. So then I went right to 46, and I love that firehouse. I mean, that was just the greatest bunch of guys. You just the bond is unbelievable with the engine. It was kind of cool because I literally had the best officers that a captain could have. I had Jack Mara, I had John McGann, and I had what's his name, Rudy Goop, and I'd come to work and just sit in the recliner and lean back, and I look over the truck side, and I won't mention any names, but it's like the mad scientist, and it's like the engine was just like, like Jay Rena and Danny Richter and Wojo and these guys. It was just like, it was just so chill. I mean, it was just like.
So you had a good set of senior men, a good set of officers.
Just a great mix, in the engine, like just really solid. And Jack, I mean, what can you say about Jack Mara? I mean, the guy was just like Father Jack, and guys listened to him. It's just like you just had to show up. It was like the kind of place you just showed up,
Right.
And, it just ran itself.
Is that the place right off of the
Cross Bronx?
The Cross Bronx, right? You can see it from the Cross Bronx.
Yeah. So we had one of the most, I guess, I don't want to tell a million 5 stories, but it was a good job.
Tell it.
You got a picture of it. The 180 in Wash.
180.
The one with Stang, Timmy 88 engine.
Oh yeah.
No, that's a different job. That's what.
That's a different.
I'm more fire. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that with that. I didn't see no fire. This guy.
Shit. Refresh my memory one more.
There's like 5 vacant buildings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have.
It's a really big fire, guns.
Scary one.
Well, we have the. We have this one.
Oh no, that's back.
We have this one.
No.
Was it your old hands fire? Because these are the ones I grew up with. Is it this one?
No, it's a Chief's.
No.
God damn it!
What the hell, Gonzo?
No,
I could have sworn I labeled it, but maybe
will you get it together, Pete.
180th in Washington.
Because we did the we went.
No.
I don't think we had.
No.
There's 2 of them actually.
Not gonna do it.
No, that's another one. Yeah, that's what I thought you had your high rise.
This guy's got more scary fires than you can shake a stick.
Yeah, I'm trying to. That's why we have so many to pick from.
Now the pressure's on him.
No, it's it's not part of your remote tactical, right?
No, it was 2.
No.
It was like 5 buildings.
No, not gonna do it. No,
these are all the fire ones that we have. Everything I just showed you.
You showed it to me before, but it's whatever.
Don't worry about it, Pete.
It's important.
I showed every damn good job we have in here.
It's gonna come up. You're gonna find it.
That's what happened. I showed every one of them. That's all we have. I mean, I'll go through one more time just to make sure you got the vacant. We have the exterior job, if there wasn't it. We have the one you didn't want to mention. We deleted, if you remember. That might have been.
So that was the one. That was the one you deleted.
Oh, but you had 2 the same, but it's not important.
Not telling him. Let me keep showing some shit up here, and then I'll just.
Don't worry about it.
I'll regroup myself.
Your hair looks good. Don't worry about it, bro.
That's it right there.
Oh, the clip one. Okay.
That
one. You mean the one with the 4 or 5 buildings that we said were on fire?
That one?
Right, oh, yeah.
That one too?
That one.
Oh, okay, so
I'll pull myself together, baby.
All right, so Timmy's working. He's working an 88 engine. I'm working. So the first time we come there, I think it was the white building, the one in the middle, and it was maybe 1 or 2 floors going, and it's one of those boxes that if you pull one side of the street, it's their first due, and if you pull the other side, we're first due. So we pull up and we're like nose to nose, and I'm like, Timmy, you take it. It's yours. You're first due on a ticket. And so after the fire, we looked at each other and we said, we're going to be back, So sure enough, I think it was the next set of tours. So we get relocated at like 4:00 in the afternoon to a battalion where the chief sometimes gets a little bit overzealous and maybe exaggerates a little bit. And
he's not a screamer, is he?
No, he's not a screamer, but he just tends to embellish things a little bit. So, we go up to this other company and we're relocated there. I'm not happy about it. So anyway, they come back. It was nothing as usual, whatever. And then I told my chauffeur, Jay Reen, I said, Jay, do me a favor. Let's take Webster down. So we took Webster down. I never do that. I normally jump on the Bronx River or whatever. So I said, let's take Webster down. So we take Webster down. And then I get to about Bedford Park Boulevard, and I hear the dispatcher. I think it was the Beef. He's like, Bronx, the Battalion 19, we're getting numerous calls. You're going to work. And so Timmy's an 88 engine, right? And it's like a second alarm on arrival. I think it was like almost with third alarm immediately. So I get on the radio. I'm like, yeah, engine 46, we're available. He says, where are you? I'm like, yeah, we're close. Yeah, we're on the block.
Where do you think we are? Of course we're around the block.
We're down the block. I'm taking it in.
So anyway, we get there and the chief's in front of the building. He goes, Danny, goes, pick a building, any building, So I'm like, so I picked maybe exposure 2A or whatever it was, And I get in there and it was just amazing amount of fire. And I have to tell you, this is almost like a teaching point, and I'll admit the mistakes that I made. So I told my guys, I said, just wait here with the line. I just want to see what's going on. So I went up, and this is the mistake I made. I was with other people, guys from rescue, from another truck company. And I looked out so I'm in this blue building right here, this blue front. And I look to the right, and all I see is orange. And the bathroom is got a little fire in it. So I'm like, it's fine. So I ignore it. I go up to the third floor. I get to the top floor, and I'm like right down on my belly. Like, I just like, it was ready to light up. And sure enough, it lit up. And I don't know how I got down to the first floor, but by the time I got to the first floor, I was like shaking like you can't believe. It either flashed, exploded, or whatever it was. But let me tell you something. If you're ever in that position and you see fire, and I've done this more than once, you go back down, you turn around, you get the line, and you go back.
Take the line with you. Yeah, man.
Take it with you. You don't pass fire. Never pass fire. I've done that in my career 4 times, and every time it was the same story. You think you would learn? Yep. So
right, like almost like pulling your boots up.
Pull your boots up. Yeah.
What kind of buildings are those? I don't think I've ever seen.
They're like frames. I think they were like frames. I think the one.
They look like old buildings, like old.
They were around for a long time. 1, 2, 3, 4. There was 5 of them. They were all gone. They put up 31 was in the back. Timmy did an amazing job. He set up the stang in the front, and he knocked down as much fire as he could. It was just, his hands were tied.
That's 46 right in the front in that other picture.
No, that's 88 in the front. I don't know where we are. We're probably up a little bit further.
Probably further.
But that stang is, I think that's 88.
Are those buildings still there, or did they knock them all down?
No, they're all gone. They knocked them all down. So
we didn't do so good there.
No, it was fully involved. By the time
Thank God for the cross street. Kept going.
and the wide Washington Avenue was wide.
It was a double-laid street. Did a good job at knocking it down.
Yep.
That's my favorite line. We didn't do so good there.
No. You got any other pictures? Before we go to Chief, you got any other pictures, guys, that you may or may not find from 46?
No, those were the only 2 that we came.
You sure now?
I showed everything else, so we're good. But we'll go. We'll get them if I have to go back. At least I know where they are.
So he does it again. He starts studying rough, and he gets made battalion chief.
It's a fart smeller.
He's one of those fart smellers, bro. Smart fellas. Was that the plan all along? You wanted to go to chief, or not so much?
My father-in-law was a battalion chief, and I had some big shoes to fill.
Right.
And, it's funny how I modeled his career exactly. Like he was a captain of 41 engine, and that was interesting when I used to get detailed over there because they all knew my father-in-law. A funny story. There was a guy, Tony LeMagna, in 41. He was interesting guy, Tony. Great fireman, but he was just.
That's a great picture right there. What is that?
Taxpayer on. I think Mike Dick took that picture. It was on 3rd Avenue. I think 73's in there, and that's Nicholson is the lieutenant, I think, and 71 engines in there. But so anyway, they're fighting in the kitchen. Now he's the captain, and there was a tough firehouse, tough firehouse. Even when I remember the old timers, that Whitey Watson and these guys, just notorious guys, tough guys, you know. And one day they're arguing over the commissary, you know, and he says, "Hey guys, you know," and they turn around and look at him. He goes, "You stay out of it." And he goes, "Yeah, but I'm Bob in the kitchen," you know, meaning that in the kitchen he's Bob. So, hence the name Bob in the kitchen.
Bob in the kitchen. Hey, it's Bob in the kitchen.
How do they come up with this stuff? Like, it's classic. They would never forget a thing either.
Shit just sticks.
We saw how they came up with Sparky. We don't want to play that.
So I guess you know, I thought I was going to be a deputy, but I wound up being a battalion chief, and I love being a battalion chief. I spent the most time, I think 16, 17 years as a battalion chief, and I really grew into that role. I just loved being a battalion chief. I really felt comfortable in the you know, like the 6th Division. I felt like all the buildings, I knew them. I knew, you know, one thing special about.
Wait, you wound up back in the 6th Division?
I started out in the 1st. I spent like a year or two there. It was a bad fit.
And it's amazing. He got back to rough. This guy keeps landing on his feet. He's like a cat.
He did his time in the 1st. He did his time.
I don't think they liked me too well down there. I don't know. It wasn't a good fit. No.
You went down there after 2 years of that. You know, you could pretty much go where you want. I'm sure
it was interesting. I did have a high-rise fire too, but I liked being in the 6th. I know the buildings. You know,
you like triple subcellars.
Oh, I know somebody who loves them too.
I know somebody who hates those.
I thought I was saying he loved them, but whatever.
The thing about the 6th Division is that, see, I saw it when it was vacant. I saw it was occupied, then it was vacant, and then it became, you know, reoccupied. You know, they warehoused the apartments and then they rehabbed them. But, you know, the thing about the tenements and the H types in like the 16th Battalion, the 14th, the 26th, the 17th, the 3rd, even the 18th and the 19th is that the rehab buildings are very unique. I mean, I'm sure Brooklyn has them. I don't think I've seen them much in Queens as much as in parts of Brooklyn and Harlem and Bronx in the Lower East Side. But the voids, I mean, you have to know what you're doing in those buildings because they could get away with you like that. You know, like the voids is just like
shit can hit the fan really fast over there, man.
So I used to like the new officers would come in. I bring them up to the office and like, hey, guys, listen. I don't know if you ever worked in a 6th Division, but you know, you get a building and it says rehab on the SIDS. You got to go slow. You know what I mean? Like just take your time and don't be so quick. You know.
So, guys, you got some pictures of Battalion Chief, or you want a couple of minutes to sort them out, or what do you do? Oh, wow!
I got his lid pick. Yes.
They made me give that back. I had to turn it in.
What?
Yeah.
Well, so I had to get a new one after 10 years.
No, actually, we have
some scary fires. This guy's.
We can go back to the fires because, as you saw, I gave you a quick glimpse of some of the fires.
Well, we could look at him again as you were looking for the other one. So let's do a repeat.
All right, here we go. This was a good one. He had a good story with this one.
I don't think I've seen that before.
This was an interesting fire. 73 engine. Richie Bonacorsa may be the best chauffeur I've ever seen on the FDNY, and that's spanning all years. I mean, there was a lot of great chauffeurs. I mean, amazing. Like I can remember being like new and watching some of those like American LaFrances or those Max pumping, and they would be rocking. Like they'd be pumping so hard they'd be supplying a tower ladder and a line or two, and they would literally be rocking in the street.
They'd be scary sounds, right?
Yeah,
too loud.
It's gonna blow.
So Richie, unfortunately, Richie, I think drove him. You know, every great fireman, something drives them. You know, and what drove Richie was that he was at the fire in '85 where the captain died across the street from 42 truck, and I think he made it his mission just to be a great chauffeur, and he just knocked it out of the park. And so every time I looked on the riding list and I saw Richie working, I was like, wow, you know, like you know, a lot of my problems are gone. And this was So this was a funny. So what I had a thing I did in Hunts Point when the box would come in, if it was like a 1-in-1 for like a car fire or a truck fire, I always had the radio on anyway, but I would pay attention because most of the times a truck fire in Hunts Point usually means it's parked at the dock or the bay and it's attached to a building. So this one came in as a 1-in-1 for a truck fire. And I'm paying attention to it. I'm like, my gut was telling me something's off here, you know? And anyway, right after that, like 30 seconds, like the old days when they have an ERS box and then they would fill it out when they got a second source. This one they filled out, and I'll never forget this, right? So I come out onto the apron, I look left, and it was like normally I could see the whole skyline of Manhattan. It was nothing but black. All you saw was this black cloud, right? So anyway, so now we're going towards the box. It was over by Garrison somewhere, you know, and 1075, whatever. And the roof man, young guy, Richie Rivera, young kid from 48 Truck, amazing. I mean, guy was only a pro, but he gave me the best report. He's like, Chief, we got he must have counted them. We have 17 trucks on fire. So this truck fire was a repair lot, and there was exposures on 3 sides with windows in the courtyard there, you know, where the trucks were. And I mean, the amount of fire was just, it was off. The guy, we saw him on video, was 40 gallons of diesel and he dumped.
Coop, you know, I was thinking when he said the windows were right next to the building right there. Nice.
Go Hunter. Nice. Yeah, but he got no eyebrows.
The Chief's thinking, oh shit. Meanwhile, I'm going nice.
Yeah. So now shitty smoke too, man.
So now the propane tanks are going. 94, Narducci was working, knocked it out of the park. He just crushed it. And
Narducci. Little Narducci?
Yeah, I love that guy.
Next to him in Proby school, Narducci. The only guy shorter. Actually, 2 guys, John Walters and Narducci, shorter than me.
He's the best. Yeah. So anyway, I just made sure I left the front open for a towel ladder, you know, and the towel ladder shows up, and I'm like, hey, you know, get the towel ladder set up. And now Richie's got the water all sorted. Before you know it, we had 5 lines stretched on both exposures, and we already were getting the rear sorted, you know. And Rob set up the deck gun, the stang, and said, you know, they're ready to supply a towel ladder. And the captain, he's like, but Chief, I'm the fast truck. I said, I don't give up. You know what, man? I said, get that towel ladder up. I got a radio. I got another towel ladder. I set them 54 up in the back. We had like 2 towel ladders going in 5 lines within like 10 minutes. And we had water everywhere and no problems. And the deputy's like, hey, Danny, I think we should give a second alarm. I'm like, all right. And they kept the fire out of all those buildings. I mean, every engine, I mean, God, they just one did a better job than the next, you know. They had lines on the roofs, they had them in the buildings.
It's got to make you proud.
I mean, it's just a pleasure. I mean, it's just like working with these guys. It's amazing.
Guys, give us another one.
Did you mold yourself? Like, did you find yourself doing
absolutely
chief things like guys that you liked? And
I had mentors. Absolutely. Yeah, right. One of my mentors was Tommy Martin. I love this guy because, you know, everyone loved him, but yet he was a great chief, you know. And he said to me, I'll never forget, I walked into the firehouse. I had like 10 minutes on the job. He pushes me up against the board in 17. He says, kid, it's easier to leave your wife than it is to leave the fire department. And I'm 25 years old, and I'm like, what is
this guy talking about?
And I know what he meant, because 39 years later, here I am, like, you know, still.
Yeah, man. You know,
I had a moment the other day behind me. You see that coat behind me, the Chiefs coat. I was hanging it up, and I had a moment. It was like, wow.
You had to grab the Kleenex?
I had to, yeah.
It's all right. It happens to the best of us, man.
It was emotional. I couldn't believe I got so emotional, you know.
Well, it becomes who you are. That's the problem. Yeah. You're part of your identity.
Nick Visconti was another guy.
What a nice man.
So cool. He worked with my father-in-law in the second section of 50. He always had that connection, you know. Kilker, Kennedy. I mean, there's so many chiefs. These guys were just so cool, man. You know what I mean? Like, they just nothing rattled these guys. You know
what do you think is the thing that is to get the men to do what you want, but at the same time that they like you? Isn't that's such a tough thing to do, right? Like without being too friendly, right? Oh, I don't know if not too friendly, but you know what I'm saying. Like
I think
be the boss.
I tell you what I did being the chief, because as you get older, you get more comfortable, and I had 3 daughters, and I used to tell my brother-in-law, we used to talk about raising kids, and I said, listen, my kids have a lot of friends. They only have one father. That's me, and I never got involved with group chats and stuff on the board and stuff like that. Like it's just not my thing. It's not I'm the chief. I mean, someone's got to be the chief. You know what I mean? So it's great if they like you. I mean, I found that, I loved praising guys in public. Like we had this kid, he was a rotator. I can't remember his name. He came from a place in Queens, and the kid did an amazing job. And I just made sure that everybody in the battalion knew that this kid did this great job. We had a phone alarm like 3 a.m. for I guess for an odor of smoke, and it was on Watson, big H type building, and I'm in the street, and someone says, all right, truck company to battalion or whatever, it's an oil burner, and just something about it didn't feel right. Like I don't know how to describe it, but it's just something. The spider sense was just tingling,
Oh yeah.
I was like,
got that from his grandmother, bro. The spider sense got it from grandma.
From grandma, yeah. So
grandma
I just kind of held off,
Good one,
And then this kid was a rotator. God, I wish I remembered his name. He was a great kid. Some company in Queens, and he just went to his position. His job was the roof, and he went to the roof. And the next thing I get a report, ladder 4-8 roof to battalion chief. We got a rubbish fire on the roof. It wasn't a rubbish fire. It had burned through the cockloft, and it was just a small isolated fire. And we stretched the line. We pulled the ceilings, put the fire out, and we could have lost that whole. It was a tremendous H type. But like the kid did a great job, and I made sure everyone knew about it.
Right.
And I think
praise in public, right? Praise in public.
When guys do a good job, I always tell them over the radio after the job, hey guys, I mean this, thank you, great job. And if things don't go right, you come into the office and we can talk about it, But as far as them liking you, I don't know. I mean, I wish I had that magic. I mean, Tommy Martin had it, a lot of guys had it, but I don't know.
I know a guy who didn't have it. I know a chief who didn't necessarily. So you want to tell your Chief Steve story now?
I'll tell you that story. Okay. It's not a bad story. Okay. Right. So I'm working in hazmat. And we get something out in Rockaway. And Phil McCardle to me is like Phil McCardle is Phil McCardle. Yeah. Right? I'm not worried.
Guru. Did he have a jumpsuit on? A black jumpsuit?
He is just like he has that guy. Like, he just is the guy, So we had some kind of hazmat thing, and we get there, and I report into the chief. Chief, how you doing? I think he might have been battalion chief at the time. So I'm like, he's telling me, hey, I got this thing, whatever. And I'm like, okay, chief. So I go hazmat to, I don't know what Phil's position was. And he looks at me, goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm checking with my experts about what's going on. He goes, you're the lieutenant. You should know. I'm like, I'm here for the night. I don't know nothing about hazmat, whatever. I cover it. I know who to ask. Yeah. And he got pissed off at me. He's like, why are you asking him? I'm like, because the guy wrote the book on hazmat.
Yeah, yeah, right. So stick that in your hoo-ha, Chief Steve.
So anyway, that was my only. That's the only.
Is that a pledge pin?
On your uniform? White socks on your ankles?
Oh gosh, that's awesome.
Guys, give me some more fire pictures. Come on.
This is a funny story. So I knew this building intimately because it's a rehab, right? And I was at another box with my aide. It was funny. I looked at him. I said, that sounds like a job. I said, let's start driving down the Bruckner, So we start driving down the Bruckner, and 1075, I'm the all hands chief. I report into the chief. And he said, all right, Danny, go up to the top floor. I go up to the top floor. 60, 83, 73. They're all up there. They're relieving each other. Brooksy from 60 Engine is on fire. I'm like, Brooksy, you're on fire. He goes, all right, Chief, I know.
So, you're on fire.
Yeah, his coat was on fire. I'm like, Brooks, you're on fire, man. So anyway, they're knocking down all this fire, and I'm like, Battalion 3 to command. I said, we're making great progress. We're knocking down fire. Whatever. Next thing you know, Roger Sakowicz comes up onto the top floor. I'm Roger. I said, what are you doing here? I said, he's the citywide talk commander. He said, Danny, it's the third alarm. Like, oh,
how'd that happen?
I said, really? So, obviously the inside didn't match the outside.
John, give me another one. You good?
Oh, yeah, I got you. I got to. Let me just find. I'm looking for the one. Oh, I wanted this one. Was the one I'm looking for.
Oh my God, this is a Richie Bonacorsa classic fire, and he and I were just so dialed in on the same page. So, 3:00 in the afternoon. It's over on Prospect and 100, right down the block from Firehouse, 156, whatever. And the whole thing, the kids had lit up the garbage, and it took the whole side of the building. So Richie shows up. So 73 hits it with the deck gun and stretches a line. McCutcheon was the boss, and they stretch a line to cover the whole building. They knocked down all the fire on the outside. The only thing that we had was window frames on all floors, and it was done like in 20 minutes. And that could have been easily, who knows what that could have been. Exposed
an alarm, and you wouldn't even known it.
Yeah, but, Richie had the wherewithal to like the deck gun. Like I would. That's my dream. Like, yeah, I wish all engine companies, if they have fires like this, pull up the deck gun and
whack it. Yeah,
whack it, man.
Douche it.
They got a unit citation for that, by the way.
Good job.
Nice. All right, here we go. I know you got another. Here we go.
So that was an interesting job, right? So I call this like Archie Bunker like land, like in Queens. You guys are too young for it, but like All in the Family used to open up with a big aerial shot of Queens, right? And there were all these 2.5-story private dwellings. And now you start having these like McMansions, right? Like they take these 3-story monstrosities and they put them inside all these like 2.5-story, right? So I came on the second alarm now, right? And I go to the command post and first question I ask is like, what do you call it? I said, hey, Chief, I said, is this lightweight? And he goes, I don't know. Is it? So I get on the radio. I'm like, all right, Battalion 3, ladder 47. So Timmy Gimple's working. I said, Timmy, what's going on? We got lightweight. Hold on, Chief. Yeah, we got lightweight. So, what could happen with these? The fire blew out the windows in the cellar, and it could get up into that truss. Like if the fire was lapping up the side of the building, but 64 engine crushed it. I mean, they put out all the fire in the alleyway. They put out the exposure, and then they made it down the basement, and they put out the basement. I wanted to put them in for a unit. Not everybody agreed with me, but they deserved a unit for that one.
Nice. All right, I got one more for you here. Sorry, I was answering your boy Fish there, Louis.
Frankie D'Amato.
This is just an old. That was from.
Looks like The Rock.
Yeah,
it does look like The Rock. Boob. Holy shit! Waiting to see the guy come down with the.
It looks like there's a guy at that one little window right there.
Scaling ladder.
Yeah. I don't have those anymore, bro. We're dating us.
I was actually working in 60 engine that night. I was detailed to the engine, and we put out. I don't know how many floors of fire, but they pulled out. I think Timmy Klepp took pictures at that job. I'm not sure because he was. I think these are his photos, or he's got pictures of it.
Coobs, tell him, Coobs.
Didn't do too good there.
We didn't do so good there.
I can see the sky there. I don't know. I can see 2 floors of sky.
Another parking lot in the Bronx.
But go back to McDowell. So Tom did a great job at that fire, and I don't know, was it Frankie Trummer, or was it McDowell, or both of them? But normally, when we used to respond to this box, we'd go down 141 against traffic, and then that was our normal way to respond to Beekman and Oak. But this one day, I don't know what possessed them. They went the right way with traffic down 144th, St. Anne's, and it turns out that 17 was positioned on the, I guess it's Oak Terrace, and there were people hanging out the windows. And Tom probably grabbed about 6 people in a bucket off the top floor. So just by luck, they 17, like we would never respond that way, but we happened to respond that way. And
you know what it is, Ruffy? It's the spider sense again.
Again, that spider sense, man.
Nonna. No, took care of it.
No.
You know what? I'm putting this together, bro. The spider sense, being a huge buff, because a lot of times he's turning out listening to the radio. I don't know what's going on there. Plus the spider sense. It's all. We
got 3-2 in a rescue, multiple phone calls. Sounds like a job.
Sounds like a job. Chief.
That's an old. That's old audio because that was 4-2.
Oh yeah, buddy. I saved some of the old ones.
We're old school.
Got to bring those back.
Those dispatches were amazing, though. Man. I can remember.
Oh man!
Pull up your boots. You're going to work.
We still say fireman's on this podcast.
True that.
You had all the pictures, guns?
No. We have this burnt out shell.
Whoa!
Another 73 engine job. Danny Sombrado was the captain. I owe him a unit citation on this one, and we didn't get one.
No.
There was a little lesson learned on this one. We had a fatality, and I don't know if I could say I dropped the ball. I mean, the guy was dead anyway, so I mean, there was no saving the guy. We pulled up. It was front to rear. I remember pulling up, and Richie again was driving. He knew that the hydrant was out of service in front, so he already addressed that. They pushed that fire from the front to the rear, no problem. I pulled up and I looked in the back. I took a peek down the alleyway, and I see the fire in the windows in the building back. I see every window, fire out every single window, and they crushed it. And someone had said to me, see, when you get an ABC, right, you got to, even though, no, so I was first too. Was I first too? Somehow I had an ABC, and then the deputy came. So I got kind of lost in the weeds, but the people were telling me, hey, Jose or whatever, he's there. And then other people like, nah, he jumped out the window. So anyway, in the interim, total burnout, right? I didn't show you the picture of the interior, but all you saw was lath, and and then the next day I'm in the firehouse and the phone rings, and it's like, Chief, it's for you, Battalion 3. It's the marshals. Chief, I hope you're sitting down. I'm like, oh shit.
Jose didn't jump out the window.
They found a bone. One bone they found. So
really?
One bone. That's all it was. It was a bone the size of a 6-8
inches. Maybe?
That's it. That's all it was. It was a total burnout. But I mean, so I don't know if that was the reason why I couldn't put them in for the unit. But I mean, the amount they kept the fire from going above. I mean, it was just an amazing amount of fire that they put out. So
needless to say, he's not available for overtime, Ruff.
No, he's not.
I mean, there's one.
We're gonna have to go somewhere else and hire somebody else.
Yeah.
All right, the last job pick I have is this.
Oh, that looks like a good one. I like
it was
that
a vacant. One. It was a vacant on 149th and Timpson. So we had a job.
Let me ask you one question before you get that. Do you have all these written down, or all these coming out of your mind? Holy shit!
Dude, we were going through, and I'm like, shit, I can't type that quick.
Wow.
So we had a job on Elton, like in 154th, and Slevin was a chief at the time. He was acting deputy chief, right? So it was Tommy Mahoney's last night in 60 engine. So it was like a 3-story vacant, and it was Tommy's last night. The guy had been through the war years. It was like 30 years on a job, and he was going to have the nozzle, right? Anyway, so we take the front of the building. 55 at the time was still in the old firehouse. So we had the front of the building, and Slevin was like, we're ready to go in. He's like, nope, no one's going in. And we're like, come on, Chief, it's the Moon Man's last night. Like, let's let him have the nozzle, and you're not going in. Set up the towel ladder, and boom. All right, so we set up the towel ladder. Now I'm in a bucket with this guy, Bobby Wright, and we're knocking down all the fire. Now I'm pulling the cornices, I'm all the cornice, I'm pulling and whatever. And I look at Bobby. I'm like, Bobby, why'd you move the rig? Like, what? And he says, you idiot. He says, the building just fell down. I said, what?
Whoopsies.
Bang, it just collapsed, So that always like stuck in my mind. So I looked at the SIDS on this ticket. I'm like, vacant building, numerous voids, this and that and the other thing. So
stay out.
On the
be sure not to stick the 30-year guy on his last tour in here.
SIDS, yeah. Don't give the guy retiring.
Don't let the guy die on his last tour.
I just like his first check, will you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So anyway, I just from the apparatus on the apparatus floor, I'm just like, listen, nobody in the building, and whatever. So wound up putting out the towel ladder and whatever. So
it looked like a good one to go in there.
That's it.
The building was falling down. I wasn't
So you almost make it to 40. What makes you want to pack it in?
Age.
It was creeping up on you?
Yeah.
You feel you get out of bed, you're like, oh, that don't feel so good.
Yeah, it was time, you know. I mean, I got some stuff that it was time, you know. They told me that you would know when it was time, and it broke my heart, you know. I mean,
we just had this conversation, right, Ruff? You'll know. My uncle, who had 40 years on the job, said you'll know when it's time. Like
when it's time.
When you're coming back from vacation and you're not full of piss and vinegar, and you can't wait to get back, and you don't feel that way anymore. It's time.
Yeah, I'll be 64 next week, and it's like, you know, my wife's retiring. We got a grandchild. You know, it's just whatever.
It's enough.
Yeah, enough. You've done more than your share, Chief.
I'm trying not to think about it. You know, like I try not to dwell on it. I'm like, it sucks. It really sucks. I mean, it really does. I mean, it's sad. I mean, but you have to move on. I mean, I guess everyone's got to go through it. You know.
Yeah. Should we ask him yet, Gons?
You're still
yeah, I didn't. I was waiting for you to do it.
So have you had the dream? Have you had the dream yet?
He's not officially retired.
Yeah,
that's all right. You haven't been in the firehouse in a while, right? When
what the dreams about being in fires and stuff?
No, about getting a run and not being able to find your gear. That happens with every retired guy.
No kidding.
That's real. Let us know
when you have it. I want you to call me and say,
"It's going to happen tonight."
You know that. It's going to be on your mind.
It's going to happen.
Now, now we just planted the seed.
You messed up my head now, but I've been having dreams about, like, you know, being back and working and fires, and I always keep having this recurring dream. So I grew up in Woodside in the Mets, and it was kind of a lower income type of place that I think if it had been another borough, it probably just would have burnt down. And I always have these dreams about this Mets. You probably, because you were in 288. I mean, you had been third duo over there, maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe, I'm not sure.
What street was it?
49th, 46th, you know, 47th.
And what?
50th Avenue.
We're squad there.
Yeah, I know. But it's close, though. You got 259, 325, 292. Yep. Yeah, you would be a squad, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I always have these dreams about it being like a vacant, like in the Bronx, you know, and like all the time. Like it's always on fire and, you know, but
well, it might have been if it wasn't for your grandmother. Could have
been. Good old Graham, man. She knows.
Oh, Grammy, good for her, man.
You know, she had to.
Yeah. Did your father-in-law still alive?
No, he passed 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Yeah.
Oh man, how many years did he do?
Like me, like 37, 8, 38. He got on at 57, he got out at 95, so doing him at 38 maybe. Wow. We had the same track. He started out in 33 engine. He was lieutenant in 50.
He was retired 25 years. That's not bad. I'll take that.
He was in 50-2. He was then he was in Brooklyn a little bit, and then he was a captain of 41 engine, and then he was a chief in the 3-1 battalion.
Oh, wow, there you go. Same track.
Wow.
Same track. Yeah.
So who do we have on from 17-2?
Oh,
that was a while ago too.
Richie. Yeah. Richie. The guy's name is Richie, maybe. What's his name?
He was a captain.
Was it a Kirk?
No, not Kirk Lesnar.
No, Kirk is in 42.
No, not Kirk Lesnar. It's his last name was something. Kerstetter. Something.
Oh, yeah, Richie Kirshner.
Yeah,
Kirshner. Was it Kirshner?
Kirshner, Richie. Kirshner. Yep. Yeah, he used to come around the firehouse a lot. Hmm. Well, it's a funny story. One time we were in the kitchen in 17 truck. We had this guy, the Big Rune, and his father was on a job and his grandfather was on a job, right? So this old timer comes in to the kitchen. His name was Murphy. He was in Rescue 3 because Rescue 3 was in 17 trucks quarters. And this guy, the Rune, his father was in 29 truck, right? So anyway, he comes in and he looks at this guy, the Rune. He goes, "You old fuck, you're still on the job." We knew exactly what he meant. He thought he was his father.
Right.
That's awesome.
Rune.
Wow.
All right, guys. Not that we haven't gotten a lot of pointers, but I think it's that time, bro.
Is it that time? Well,
what time is that?
Let me get this all queued up, you guys, because I was going to show 2 more pictures, but we'll do this.
You said you had that. You said that was the last.
No, there's one. I'm looking at 2. He wanted to share. Chief,
you automatically found 2. Throw them up.
No, that's the Katrina story. Did you want to touch on Katrina?
Oh, that's a great story. I love that.
Yeah,
that was 96.
I want to make sure we get to it.
That was a great story, yeah. So, anyways, I got a few minutes. I'll tell the whole story. So I'm up in New Hampshire with these guys from Ecuador. I did a lot of work in South America, helping train guys down there, whatever, you know. So anyway, I'm watching the news and like, yeah, so Katrina is coming to slam it to New Orleans. And I think like, what, this got nothing to do with me. So anyway, I go to work, I guess that night, and a fax comes over. They're looking for volunteers to go down to New Orleans. So I'm like, oh shit, does anyone want to go to New Orleans? So I volunteered. We all volunteered. We sent. So now we get picked to go. So we go show up at JFK at like 4 a.m. We get on this plane. We get down there. It's like 100 degrees. Like the place is like in shambles. It's burning, you know. And we go to some nursing home or some Catholic nursing home on the other side. I forget the name of it now. And we were like, I don't know. It was just like we were on our own. We're trying to, like, this guy Richie from 124 truck is like opening up cans of like Campbell's, and we got generators going, and like we're like, oh, we're, you know, this is they don't want us here really. So then anyway, the next morning about 5 a.m, it was like being on an aircraft carrier. This chief comes and goes, I need 75 guys right now. So everyone's jumping on rigs and boom, and we're all flying, and you know, in daylight now, the city's burning again, you know, and they had no water at all. So now they're drafting out of the streams in the street, and the lines are just this and that. So anyway, so that night, I heard that there was 7 trucks that were milk trucks converted to water trucks, and they were using in front of the Verizon building to keep it cool, right? Because they didn't want to lose their communications. And I had this idea. I said to Maines, I was the chief at the time. I said, you know, Chief, I said, do you think we could try to draft out of some of these trucks and maybe we could use them for water, you know? So I put together a team. And Frank Lee was my main guy. He was at the time a lieutenant in 324. I had Wayne Melton, Billy Butler. These guys had all like kind of rural experience, you know? So Maine said to me, him and Seelig, I think, was another chief. He says, go ahead, knock yourself out. So we went out and we tried drafting out of a milk truck, and it worked. So I go back and I'm like, Chief, I said, we were able to do it. He goes, forget about the milk trucks. I got you 80 water tenders from the wildland. So I'm like, all right. So he says, I want you to take them and make task forces, right? So I did my pencil out. I did 20,000, how many gallons a minute, blah, blah, blah. I came up, I need 5. You know, Frank, you know, he knew the mechanics of the satellite. Wayne Melton and Billy Butler knew how to do the drafting stuff. And then we put together 3 task force, right? Okay, so now we got the task forces, right? So one day I'm out on my rounds. I got this guy. He's a wildland guy. And I come upon these guys, and on the side of the rig, it says rain dances, right? And I said, what's the rain dances? He goes, oh, that's my company. I says, we work in wildland fires. I said, oh, cool. I said, so from now on, you're the rain dancers. So I was just joking around, man. So next, I saw the next group. They were down on Decatur Street. And I said, hey, you guys don't have a name. He goes, what do you mean? Well, the other guys, they're rain dancers. He goes, hold on. We're the water wizards. So, okay. So now they're the water wizards, right? So now I see the next group, and I'm like, you know, we got 2 groups here, rain dancers and the water. You don't even have a name. He goes, oh, yeah, give me a minute. And they're the water dogs, right? So then, anyway, it became a thing now because we were dispatching them out of like we had a big tent. It was communications tent. We're dispatching, you know, they call it, you had a roll or whatever.
Water dogs, take that in.
Water wizards were around the corner.
I just remember
Rain dance.
Rain dance, we're blocked out.
McFarland thought it was the greatest thing. It was like, because now they weren't calling them Task Force 1A, blah, blah. It was like, all right, water dogs, take in this. And then,
nice. I like
WD.
Who was this McPartland you talking about?
WW.
Yeah, some deputy chief in the first.
Can't get him to come on. The guy loves telling stories. Another guy can't get to come on.
I seen him down there, Coobs.
Did you? Did you hit him up?
No, he was talking with other guys.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna bang him again tomorrow.
Yeah. So anyway, they used that water system for about 2 years. I ran into a guy because I became on the IMT, and then I met this guy. He says, yeah, they used that system for 2 years, but they got a big kick out of the names, you know, because it was like, you know,
the water dogs,
the water wizards, the rain dancers.
The the WDs.
The bros of H2Os.
Yeah.
Sultans of the standpipes.
Yo, I tell you what, once those water resource groups went in, the fires they had water now. They had 20,000 gallons of water.
Who is this Frank Lieb you're talking about? Lieb.
Yeah, so Frank, trying to figure this guy out.
Yeah, Frank is this guy. He used to be a lieutenant. And
never heard of him. Never heard of him.
Captain of 76. He's the reason why I ran my first marathon.
I
was covering one day in the 11th Battalion. He's like, he goes, I'm running the marathon. I said, you know what? I always wanted to run a marathon. And then I wound up running the marathon. So that was in 2000.
What? I thought about running the marathon one day, and then I ate a cookie instead. I was like, nah.
Yeah.
I
was 15 years ago. So
you young bucks have that shit.
Are there any other pictures, guys, before we get to the old?
No, we're good. We're good. I mean, there's a couple in there, but we're good.
All right, do that.
All right, it's time for, here you go, Chief.
The old
school tip
of the day.
All right, boss man, take it away.
Well, I tell you, as a firefighter, I mean, if I could go back and do things differently, probably would have just put the cotton in my mouth, took it out of my ears and put it in my mouth and listened, and just doesn't matter what they tell you, just like, yep, that's a good idea. That sounds like a good idea. Yep. Don't never use the words I know. It's tough though, because like you're new and you don't want to seem like you're a dope, so like, but it's really the reverse is true. Like when you're pro, you really should just be like, yep, even if you heard it 10 times, yep, that's great advice, man. Thank you. So I mean, we all know, get to work early. I would tell you another thing as a firefighter, know your tools. Know if you're on an engine, know where everything on that rig is, man. Know how they work, everything. I don't care if it's EMS, whatever, foam. I could tell you a foam story about, knowing foam, but we don't have time. But know your tools. If you're in a truck company, take them out and drill with them. Put ladders, put them up, wash them. Just get your hands on the tools. I think this is why we wash the tools, just so it makes young firefighters touch them and work with them. As a lieutenant, a captain, I would say trust your guys, trust your firefighters. Just give them a lot of space, man. And I had a few times I would tell guys, if you're having trouble at home with the wife or whatever, when you come in that door, just leave those troubles in the car, man. And if you need, then take time, go call the counseling unit, whatever. But don't ever bring your troubles into the firehouse, because it could get you killed or it could get somebody else killed. So, but as an officer, just really just lean on the guys. As a chief. It's a silly tip, but, use all your senses. I used to leave the windows open. If it was 0 degrees or it was 100 degrees, the windows are open because, you never know what you're going to be exposed to. I mean, I gave a 1075 one time just because I had the window open and I smelled something, and it turned out to be a top floor fire. So just keep the windows open, be patient, and trust the guys. And as a chief, if you like, I used to love, like, if I get a tap on the shoulder, like Tizo was great at that. He'd tap on the chief's shoulder in the 5th Division, or, like, hey, Chief, what about this? And, oh, Ralph, that's a good idea. Why don't you check that out? Be open to, like, because you can only see so much. You're a chief. You don't have X-ray vision. You gotta get as much information as you can. And if someone has a good idea, go with it. And that's basically my tip. Rank.
All right.
Chief, pleasure listening to your career. Great career, great fire stories, tremendous detail. I don't know how you remember all those details, but
well,
in Boston they call it a spark. I have a partner.
They do.
They call it a spark. They call it
Spock.
Spock. Wicked smart.
They're wicked. Well, they're wicked smart. My daughter's wicked smart. She lives in Boston, you know.
She's smart, but you're a smart.
I always put on a Boston accent. She gets pissed off. She goes, "Dad, you're not from Boston." You know? I said, "Yeah, but you live in Dorchester, you know." But, I started doing a
go get your car.
I resurrected my first 2 battalion chief with fire engineering, and I have Ep.249 from Boston. He's my counterpart now, and he's got like 22 years in Boston. He's just an amazing guy. And we started like a YouTube channel, and it's just going to be all teaching stuff. We're calling it Imperium, which means command. So it's like we've only done 2 episodes. We're hoping that.
Where do you find it? On YouTube under Imperium?
YouTube, and then I think it's on a podcast too. He's got it set up with a podcast.
Cool.
But,
all right.
And we're going to go over Size Up. We're going to go right through Culver's Wealth. We're going to go right into tactics and strategies and. Whatever.
What's the name of it?
Imperium. The Latin word for command.
Imperium.
His name is Ep.249. He's got his own channels and stuff, and he's got some great stuff on his channels too. So, and then we got the first 2 battalion chief with fire engineering, and I guess I'm going to be still a little finger or 2 in the fire department for the rest of my life, right?
And why not?
Yeah.
Come on.
I just, you know what I'm afraid of. What I'm afraid of, and I think hopefully now I'll know when it's time. Like I don't ever want to become not relevant. I don't want to be that guy where they're in the corner like. Yeah, he hasn't been in a firehouse in about 10 years, so we're not going to listen to this guy. You know, like Carl Yastrzemski. You know what, Carl? And those guys were great in their days, but you know what? At some time, it's time to pass.
You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
Time to pass the torch. So I think I have a few years left. I still have, still the memories are still a little fresh. So I think things are still relevant.
Fresh.
Yeah.
Guys, remember what box he went to? 30 years ago.
Crazy.
Ruffy, what'd you have for breakfast this morning?
I can't tell you where I put my I can't even tell you what I have to do tonight.
But you know what?
There's a guy had a super chat before.
Yeah, he was asking about the hip boots. He was asking, his question is Alex Constantino, something like that. He's asking about the switch from 3/4 hip boots to long coats to the bunker gear. He wants to know what your thoughts are when you guys made the transition from boots to bunker pants.
So that was 1993, and I could tell you it was a very tough transition because I was in 41 and it was a summer day. It was July, and it was a Sunday. I was thinking I was doing a rasta, and I'm thinking like Sunday afternoon, it's gonna be nice and chill, even though it was 100 degrees out, and I was drinking coffee in the kitchen, and that never would be a problem. But you got to remember, too, 41's rig, we had like the engine, it was just metal. Like it was like 150 degrees in that rig. So we go to a job.
It's hot as fuck.
We go to a job on Walton Avenue, and I remember carrying the saw up to the roof and working or whatever. And then we get back down, and then we get another job in Washington Heights. And I didn't even take my coat off, and I'm still in my coat. And I put the saw back, and then we're responding up to 174th and whatever. And I remember going up the front fire escape, and I don't remember anything else. I passed out.
Really?
I collapsed on the fire escape, and I was just overheated because I had no water. I was drinking coffee all morning, and I wasn't used to the bunker gear, So that was a rude awakening, man. I was very embarrassed by that because that never had happened. Because when I was in 17, as I got a little older, I was doing the roof and stuff. I didn't even wear the hip boots anymore, And now I'm wearing the snowsuit in the middle of a 100-degree summer day, carrying a saw and a mask on my back in a rig that's 150 degrees. So I think, but what I saw with the bunker gear is that the burn injuries went down tremendously. Like I remember I got burnt that job I was telling you about with Timmy on 143rd Street. Like we all got burnt at that fire, but that was normal. I mean, the embers and everything goes down. The water goes down your boots. Even in the towel line, I mean, hot water, everything's going down your boots. Now the bunker gear, no one was getting burned anymore. I mean, it really eliminated the knee burns. I mean, tremendously. I mean, guys, once in a while we're getting burns. I mean, some crazy jobs.
Yeah, steam burns or whatever.
But not like we were in the beginning. I mean, every job you go to, guys were getting burned at every job. I mean, it was just a normal. It was, doing business.
Silverdine.
And we had no hoods back then, so your coat was open. You had you maybe put your flaps down if you're lucky. Sometimes guys didn't even wear gloves. I mean, it was like they're wearing the Red Bulls and
The Wild West.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you,
sanitation gloves.
I know we're running out of time, so I don't want to elaborate. But things are different. The fires today with the plastics and everything, I don't think you'd get away with it today with the stuff that we did back in the 80s.
No, definitely different. Yeah.
It's a different animal today.
Yep.
No doubt about that.
Coop, do you have a health and safety tip?
I do.
Okay.
The First Responders Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding to the challenges to the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS personnel, and other first responders, too. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation.
All right, so today's health and safety tip. It comes from today when I started my first day of PT for my knee replacement. I went in there, there's like 5 friggin' firemen sitting in there, bro. So, and I said to the one guy, I'm like, listen, man, if the job doesn't kill you, it will beat the living shit out of you over the course of 20 years. So I know it's hard. Everybody doesn't have to be a fanatic when it comes to working out, but try to keep a decent body weight. Stretch, do some exercise, do some cardio. Because later on in your years, you want to be able to enjoy your retirement, like my buddy Roofy, flying all over the country, shooting shit and hitting golf balls. So that's what you want to do. So do something to stay active and to stay at a decent body weight and enjoy your retirement.
Maintain, man. What you got to do is maintain.
You got to keep waking up.
Yeah.
I got a text from Nancy as I'm talking. She's talking about her ride again, looking for guys to come on the ride that they're doing.
Gonzo's going to put it up right now.
Okay.
I'll pull up the whole thing, but I have this. This is the first part of it. And let me share my email. That way you guys can read the entire thing here.
They do a nice job, the Friends of Firefighters. I mean,
so it's through Friends of Firefighters, right? They can find the information through Friends of Firefighters, right.org, the website.
Right. So pull up I sent you a big text, right?
Yeah. I'm going to just share my email. That's a lengthy email.
But I think she's opening up now to even the whole country. I mean,
that's good. We got to keep sending stuff over there, guys. I know we had a show on it, but just because we had one show doesn't mean that we stopped sending.
It's a little hard to guys to see, but it's the ride is starts September 3rd to the 13th of this year. It's an unforgettable ride. Ireland to raise awareness for our first responders' mental health, and it supports Friends of Firefighters.
You've done that ride, right, Chief?
Yeah, last year I did it, but I don't know.
So it's over in Ireland, and it's for a good cause.
It's a great cause. The mental health. I think they're looking to do this up in Boston now, and if anyone from the whole country wants to join in on their ride, I would get in touch with Nancy. And you
can reach her at www.friendsofFirefighters.org, or if you want to, there we go.
Sorry.
Or if you want to contribute, it's for mental awareness, man. And we had that show on, and I can't tell you how many guys came up to the booth, Ruff, and said, "Thank God, thank you for having that show on."
It's every time.
Yeah. So please give what you can, even if it's $5, $10, whatever it is. Send it over there. Send it. And we have a couple line of duties, right, Gons?
Yes. Let me bring up their pictures because they have their names on them. There's Baltimore City. Lieutenant Mark Draper. I believe this was a gentleman that fell from the truck or fell down the ladder, and I believe he succumbed to his injuries. It was within, if I'm not mistaken, a week that they had both of these gentlemen pass away.
Taking a beating the last few years.
Yeah, and this, I believe this was a gentleman who had a cardiac event or a medical event during training. So those guys that are out there training, anything, obviously be safe, and we'll. I guess Coob's going to ring the bells for them.
Yeah, we also had 2 guys in the UK, I think, died in a warehouse fire. So let's do the 5 bells for the line of duty. Rest in peace, brothers.
That's for sure.
All right, Ruff, what do we have next week, man? We have a guest next week?
You do.
I have my operation next week. I'm not going to be here.
How dare you?
And I have mine the week after, dude. We're all getting fixed up around the same time.
Holy man. Did I tell you got to stay in shape? Ruff, show him the finger.
Oh, you got that little guy going.
It's the craw.
Who
do we got next week? Well, he's away.
Heavy fire duty.
Heavy fire duty.
It fits into the golf swing, though. Perfect, right? I mean,
It's perfect.
You might,
Oklahoma
I
City
might
guy.
screw up. I might screw up.
You might be shanking the ball night. Oh, what the hell happened? I don't know. I lost the craw. It's not crawling anymore. Chief, thank you so much for coming on. Your love for the job just comes through, man. You know, you didn't get the name Sparky for nothing.
Sparky.
You and you know what? You walk the walk. You've been in all busy places your whole career, following the fire around. Good for you. I'm glad I had the privilege of working for you, even though it was a couple of tours, but knowing you as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming in. We will see you. Well, at least Ruffy might not. We'll see some prayers for Ruffy that night and the bent finger. Pinky, the craw.
I'll send you the picture.
Maybe I'll call Delaney and get him on too. We'll see.
I was going to say, we're going to go to the bullpen.
We got to go to the bullpen. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Until then, stay low and go.
All right, everybody. We'll see you at the big one. Thanks again, Chief.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Remember, we're rolling heavy down here in South Florida.
I love it. You found it.
Nah. Take care, guys. Have a good night. Oh, hold on a second here.